Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you guys are all doing well. And today, guys, we're back with a Vampire Coast vs. Greenskin showdown. So it's going to be my Count Noctilus facing off against Grom the Paunch of Onyage. So it should be quite a bit of fun. Now, big shout out to Anticity of Clan ODM for the build. I saw him using this in my single faction tournament in the faction war, and I really liked the build quite a bit. I feel like it has some really good tools against Greenskins. So again, shout out to Anticity. If you guys haven't seen his YouTube channel as well as his Twitch channel. He streams quite often, is an amazing player, great commentator, and is indeed the Kraken King. So there will be a link in the comment section below. Now, as far as the build goes, here we got the quad bomber. So in total, there are going to be 4 of them, but I did add a little bit of my own spice here. I put in the Salt Lord Scuttlers just for the old laughs and gaffs here. But you know what? They do actually have the armor sundering, right? So you're going after a Biggin, for example. They have 50 armor. Putting them down to 20 actually is a pretty substantial difference for the damage on the bombers here. So we got 4 of those. We got a front line of deckhand mobs, double gunnery weight on the crabs, and these guys are very good because they can actually go fisticuffs and beat down Grom the Paunch like up close. Get in there, good armor piercing, good durability, and good armor against his lack of AP. And they also have good sniping, right? So for example, if he's running, you can also turn and shoot, but most namely, they have Scabs Grates, which are exceptionally good against the Greenskin infantry, especially the lightly armored ones. Count Noctilus as well, just like a mobile, hard-hitting unit. He can shoot at the skirmish cav. He can really pound into blobs and cavalry. And yeah, he's just a menace. And also his summons are quite good for tar-pitting the Greenskins. We have Sirens and Sirens, and then that's pretty much it for the build. A couple Scurvy Dogs hiding in wait. Basically, the Scurvy Dogs are just there to be a backline sweeper. I think it's more important in this matchup to use them to defend your squishy parts, right? Like, they're not even that squishy, really, but basically, when the Greenskins get into your secondary lines, when they're a little bit beat up, you then attack them with a big swarm of Scurvy Dogs and get some good value. So for the rest of the build here, it is going to be Forest Goblin Spider Riders. We got some Squig Hoppers, Grom the Paunch, and Nasty Skulker. And yeah, for the rest of his army, relatively standard. I mean, it's Orc Biggins with Goblins, a massive amount of Spider Riders, Grom the Paunch, and a Night Goblin Shaman. The only difference that we're seeing with this build compared to some of the other builds I've seen that, like we saw from Void Laws, of course, who won the most recent faction war, is that Void did use an Orc Shaman as well as Brainbust and Fists of Gork to get magic damage against Sirens. Not to say that Grom and the other units can't deal with them, but it's just a little bit different. So here the Deck Dropper Bombers going to be flying in, dropping a hot payload here on the Orc Boys, and this are Orc Biggins, and this is going to hurt pretty bad. Their armor is sundered down to 20, and I actually feel like that's making a big difference in the damage output as these guys get shreked pretty damn good. And the Spider Rider missiles were on the other side of the battlefield, so I basically just cut across and under. And now we also have the Gunnery Whites with their long rifles picking off Biggin models. So basically the Biggins are the biggest threat to my army, right? Cut through zombies. They can certainly do good damage against Noctilus and eventually against the crabs. And we do also drop a zombie pirate deckhand summon right here on top of the Biggins to try and slow them down while Count Noctilus, the hard knock life, teach us some hard life lessons here to these Orc Biggins with his big old triple cannon. Now on the flanks, I was really hoping for this engagement. I saw that he was positioning his Squig Hoppers here, so I was like, okay, hopefully he'll charge in, thinking my position's weak here, and then the Scurvy Dogs can countercharge and really get a ton of value there. So far, these skirmishers here, the Morgubs, Magi Marauders, Forest Goblin Spider Riders, and all these bad boys are really shooting into the bombers, but for the most part, I should be able to pull back, get an invocation if I need to, and heal them up. And also what's really cool is Deck Dropper Bombers have really low ammunition. I believe it's only 6 volleys in total, but if you have the double extra powder on the Gunnery Whites, you can really get a ton of value there. And again, zombies still holding back the Biggins, but here comes the big old Greenskin Wah from the flank. The pirates being overwhelmed and cut to pieces. Of course, no surprises there on the chaff. Sirens getting ready to move in as well. And again, here comes the Durkid Squig Hoppers. And then is the countercharge from the Scurvy Dogs, which are much faster, 82 speed against 95, and the doggos are going to be able to feast like the heathen Scurvy Dogs of old. Dragging down the Squig Hoppers, certainly some pretty good value, and you can see they die really quickly. They have very low melee defense. So overall, the battle's going pretty well. The bombers are safe. They're rotating about, going after Biggins as well as Nasty Skulkers where I can. A good flash bomb from Onyage here is able to tie down my Deck Droppers and also allow him to get some substantial focus fire on those units, but very, very scrappy battle. The 2 Gunnery Whites also in good shape, able to go fisticuffs with Grom. Grom did come in for some charging, and the Gunnery Whites and Crabs did sit and kind of brace for him and fought him, but he did respond by using the Lucky Banner, as well as the, I believe not the Rune Axe, but yeah, the Lucky Banner and Degrade is here to get some nice buffs. But yeah, my front line is withering. This is very standard here in this situation. The deckhand mobs here getting kind of tar-pitted, but that's what Noctilus is for. He's got a ton of summons via his Rot's Moondial. So we do drop the Zombie Pirate deckhand summon right here to kind of muck the advance of the Greenskins, and it should block these Biggins from getting onto Count Noctilus very happily. Grom also getting a good rear charge. It does tank the leadership of the Sirens, and you could see despite him not having dedicated like magic damage via the Fist of Gork or Brainbuster, he's still able to bring my Sirens down pretty low with Crumbling here. The other ones are holding relatively firm. Leadership sitting at a whopping 45, and Scabsgrace going down as well. Scabsgrace doing big damage against the Biggins and Spider Riders. Those are just invaluable items. And again, the Scurvy Dog Goon Squad was able to clean up the Squig Hoppers. And I thought about chasing the Spider Riders, but I kind of found that they were able to just kite me effectively. So let's get the doggos back in the mix. Fanatics going down, and of course in the true Fanatic fashion, they miss my Sirens and take out a lot of the Orc infantry here. Noctil's a little bit surrounded, but he does have some zombie support on the ground. But there are Biggins and other kind of scary troops who are imbued with the dreaded sneaky stabbing. So those guys getting some damage in. Well, in the meantime, Scurvy Dogs are basically just going after whatever free value I can get on the battlefield. So we're looking for goblins, we're looking for routing Biggins, all that sort of good stuff. And the bombers are also still in good shape. And you can see ammunition relatively stable. I have been using extra powder, and it has been doing some good work. So Noctil's going to be moving in now, going after the Night Goblin Shaman. And yeah, the Wraith Storm actually didn't do much damage at all. I think it would have been better to use on Grom. I find that Wraith Storm on foot characters tends to knock them over instead of actually doing damage. So in that case, that was a big blunder on my part, which I could have gotten a fair amount of damage, maybe like 300, 400, 500 damage on Grom. Grom the Paunch certainly is a character that can carry back these games. He is going after the Gunnery Wights here. He does not have that Rune Axe of Grom, not Rune Axe, Rune Axe of Grom Brindle. Yes, he's still he does not have his Rune Axe or his axe, or whatever the hell it's called. So he's not going to be quite as effective at like punching through these crabs. We do drop another summon right here to kind of keep all these infantry off Noctilus, because we don't want nasty Skulkers kind of poking here. And essentially we're just trying to hold using Scabsgrates once again to tear apart the Skulkers and Spider Riders. And basically the Salt Lord Scuttlers and the Goon Squad is rotating over, because there is a big juicy blob of Greenskins here. And we should be able to get some outstanding value on those units. And you can see not too much armor piercing here for the big Crabos. A lot of times you do see the Greenskins bring a ton of missile units, so like Savage Orc Airboys, things like that, which actually have 6 armor piercing on their missiles, so they can put some good damage into the Gunnery Wights. But in this case, with the particular build of the Greenskins, the best way they had to deal with the Crabos was probably through big attrition and just kind of wearing them down. Because, you know, Gunnery Wights have very poor crowd clearing. If they are surrounded by good anti-large infantry or anything like that, they tend to get dragged down. I mean, I've had them fighting like a group of like Empire Spearmen, and like it's been a bit of an ugly fight for sure. Granted, you do have Scabsgrates to help you in that situation, but still, a little bit spooky. So the Gunnery Wight going after Grom the Paunch. It is the duel of duels, 2800 HP to 1900, so Grom is forced back. The Spider Riders are sent in to kind of cover Grom's retreat, but I do have the Gunnery Wight long rifle, so if I want to, I can go in guard mode. But this is where it gets a little bit scary. Gunnery Wights are getting surrounded, and you can see the damage they're taking. Another Scabswraith going down does tickle the pickle of those goblins as well as the Spider Riders. And Noctilus is just going Super Saiyan here. Could potentially be swarmed by Spider Riders. I did still have 2 summons in the back pocket as well as invocations, and just look at the value from these bombers. Now, they probably didn't do a ton of damage overall, but just the amount of like whittling things down to the point where terror routes and other mechanics can really push them off has been quite strong. And here's the Hard Knock Life chasing down Grom the Paunch. We put both of our crabs in guard mode, and now we just start ripping fat armor-piercing shots right on the big old sausage goblin here, and he is going to break. And with that, probably army losses here for the Greenskins, considering they don't have the tools here to probably bring down ye old Count Noctilus here. So, you know, Bomber Bat's going to move out, but army losses kicking in. GG, well played to my opponent here. It was certainly a fun match. So we had a bunch of great games, and this was certainly one of them. But I really like this build. I thought it was quite creative, quite cool. I have used double Gunnery Wights in the past against Greenskins with Noctilus, but I never really used that many bombers. I might have used like 1 or 2 and had like handguns and cannons on the ground, but I really did like this because there's no handguns, there's no deck gunners, there's nothing that the Greenskins can swarm over easily. If they swarm on top of the Gunnery Wights, you just laugh and use the Scabsgrates and tank them. And yeah, I like this build quite a bit. Obviously, you know, it has some, you know, weaknesses in its game. Like, for example, an Orc Shaman with the Fists of Gork could really value train the Sirens really effectively. But, you know, if you're able to avoid that, the Sirens can be a very good cheap source of terror. They generally don't do a ton of damage, but where they do very well for you is that they do get the terror route. So against, you know, the Greenskins in the late game, it's very essential. And yes, Noctilus does cause terror on his big beastie here, but you could look at the value on this on the White Kings, not White Kings, the whenever I say Scabsgraith, it immediately goes to White King. The Gunnery Wights, they did great. Noctilus did fine. He was healthy, still had summons. And yeah, the bombers were really essential. I mean, you can see the value's not crazy, but they were able to whittle down like 2 or 3 units of Biggins before the fighting started, provided massive just harassment the entire game. Instead of Count Noctilus being shot at by the Skirmish Corps, you know, they were being shot at, but there was only 2 of them, so really what they were able to weather that and do quite well. And the Scurvy Dogs were great. I mean, just disruptive. Nothing got like crazy good value, but a lot of chain routing on the Greenskin units I think was essential for sure. And yeah, for the Greenskin build, I think it has some elements which are very competitive. I think Yeah, you need probably Grom the Paunch with a Hag with Spirit Leech and Mither, because the Hag actually gives you steady armor piercing, and she can beat down the Gunnery Wights pretty well. And then from there, you get an Orc Shaman with Fist of Gork and Brainbuster, both of which are amazing here. And then, yeah, just a lot more Spider Rider Archers or basic Savage Orc Arrowboys. A little bit lighter on the infantry quality, I think, is the way to go. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Well, anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed that Vampire Coast vs. Greenskin Duel of Duels. And that is it for now. Thanks again for watching. Take care, and well played to my opponent, Onyage. Cheers, my friends.